This is a video review of ToQ-Oh from Ressha Sentai ToQGer. I like this set. I really like this set. I recommend this set. It's a good set. So please don't get me wrong when I say this set has problems with it that really piss me off. And part of the reason why they piss me off is that they could have been avoided so easily if the designers had just thought about what they were making for a day more or even. To understand what I mean, there are problems that are understandable. There are problems that are forgivable, that they are necessary for the figure, okay? Take the pink train here. It's beautiful. It has lots of lovely details. All that pink is paint. It's just beautiful, okay? Turns around, you get screw holes, and you get a combiner peg. That's understandable. If it did not have the combiner peg, this would not have any value to me. That's okay. Now understand here that the yellow train here is basically a mirror copy of the pink train, okay? The only differences, aside from color, for the most part, are there's a triangle here, a semicircle here, and the fronts are different to help differentiate them. Those are the only basic differences, okay? So why is it then that this is not actually an exact mirror of the pink train? Because now we have the combiner peg on this side, but the screws are not on this side, they're on the other side, so this train does not have any good side. I cannot figure out why they did it this way because I know CAD software. I've used CAD software before. It would not be a problem to design this, mirror all of the parts over, and get this. I'm just not sure what's going on here, and it's just, this train could have looked beautiful, but it doesn't. And you get the same problem going on with the green and blue trains. The blue train here has this side, which looks beautiful, except for the combiner slot here. It's unavoidable because you gotta have the combiner slot, and on both sides it's marred by combiner stuff. That's okay. What's wise about this is that on the side that has the most crap, it also has the screw holes. The green one, which is my favorite of the bunch because I love this shade of green, the best side is the side that's marred with the most combiner stuff. The side that should be the best has screw holes, and that just drives me nuts. The only one that does not suffer from this is the red train, and that's because it's basically symmetrical on both sides. Even so, it still gets copyright information messing up the detail. I don't know why toy companies do this, I guess to help prevent bootlegs. I don't know why bootleggers would care. I've never seen a toy without it though, so I'm okay with it. I wish they had found a better place to put it, but I don't know where they would have put it. Because it's not like they can put it on the bottom side, because this kind of detail has to be facing the bottom of the mold, not the side of the mold. So, for the most part, I like these trains. They infuriate me because of how they're shaped, but aside from that problem, they are very lovely. Like, if you look at the red train here, this detail is just amazing. This is the prettiest part of the entire thing, just all these little smokestacks in here, or the pipes. I don't know what to call these, I'm not a train expert, but it looks beautiful. Trains are not my thing. I get why people like them, but they're not my thing. Looking at this kind of makes me want to get into collecting trains. It's that pretty. So, I guess I just expected more from the trains themselves to not have these weird problems. Now, moving on to the combination sequence. Well, no, not the combination sequence. We need to cover one more thing about these guys. If you look at, like, the green train here or the red train, they're kind of long, yeah? And there's no bend in them except for a transformation joint on the green and blue ones, yeah? It kind of makes them look too static to be trains, but there is a way to solve that. If you pop the front off, you can pop out a hitch here, and you can hitch them together. And I love this because it gives a train so much more, makes them look more dynamic. It makes them look like actual trains, not just sticks that combine together, yeah? So you can do that, and what's also interesting about this is the front parts here are used in the Morpher. If, say, you have the Morpher on your arm, and you slide it in, and go whatever they do with the Morphers, if you put this in, you would turn to the Green Ranger if the Morpher were real. And I like how they have the, how ToQ-Oh interacts with the roleplay toys. I think that's really neat. It reminds me of what they did with Shinkenger, where the origami modes of the individual mecha on that, those were 1-to-1 scale, like they actually showed in the show. So Shinkenger also doubled as a roleplay toy. I like how they did that in Shinkenger. I like how they're doing something similar here. And you can also combine the little trains too if you want. You can combine the big trains too. I'm not going to show it just because it's big, and I'm sure you can imagine a bunch of trains all up in a line. I just wanted to make sure that I told you that this is possible, because it is a very neat feature. You can do it with all of them. Now, on to the combination sequence. These joints right here are very interesting because the way they work is, pop this off, you have this thing right here. It looks like a clip, but it's not. It's actually a runner for a slider. This thing, you push it into the train, into the green train, and then you'll press this black button down, and that will slide this in like this. You press this button right here to disengage it, and what happens is after this slides in, the button comes back up and prevents this from sliding back down. So you have to press this up to push this in to get the to disengage it. So I love that combination bit right there. It's very clever how it works. Do it to both sides. And what ends up happening in the show when these guys combine is you have the red train on its track, and then all the other trains, their tracks narrow in next to it, and then they start combining together, and it's very clever how it works. You flip out the... Yeah, this is a problem. The combiner pegs here, they tend to go back in, so you need to get them in at just the right angle so that they don't. Because they go up easier than they go into the actual ports. So you put these in, and... like I was saying, you kind of get a combined train mode. It's not perfect because the yellow and pink trains are out to the side so that ToQ-Oh's arms have a better posture, but you can replicate what you see on the show pretty well. It's pretty well done. Now to start transforming this, you want to take these, pop them up, and turn them around. Before you do that, though, I always forget this step, but get rid of the trailer hitches, or the train hitches on the pink, green, blue, and yellow ones. On the yellow and pink ones, they just fold up into those crevices, and on the green and blue ones, they fold up like this. Okay, now you pop this up, turn it around, and I recommend doing these first because otherwise they'll start bumping into stuff when you start populating his chest. Then you'll turn the hands around like this. You'll take the front of the red train, you'll pop it up. Then you'll take the front of the front, you'll pop it down, and then there's a little clip right here, and you're going, or a tab right there, and the clip right here, you're going to bring them up, clip them together. Then you're going to split the legs like this, and then bring the feet up like this. Now the feet end up locking into place so he's not going to fall over on his ankle. To unlock them, you need to press this up, and then you can fold the foot down like this. Now the only thing we have left to do is bring up the camera, and then you will take this here, you'll pop it back like this. It doesn't actually peg into anything, it's just kind of free floating. And that's been unfortunate, but there ends up being a gap right there, so there's no way for it to end up plugging in anyway. And also, if they had done that, then there would end up being a... if they had this clip up, clip from here down to here, then there would be a clip messing with the wheels on up here or down here. And so there was no way to do that. So I'm not upset about that or anything, but you pull that down, then you pop this up. This is the head, and this is super clever here because the actual head of the figure here, it took me a while to figure out what these are, but those are train doors that split open to show his head. Now let me get my light in here. Hopefully I won't overexpose this. And I like the design of his head, but it's a little bit flat from the side, you see. I wish they had made it a little bit more 3D, but otherwise it's very fine. I like it quite a bit. It's a nice design. Now we have ToQ-Oh all together. Let me readjust my light, readjust the camera, and then you get this, which is a, it's like a crossing gate, like the ding, 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 don't cross here because the train's going to come over and it'll T-bone you if you do. This can either be a gun like this. This is the front because otherwise you can't get him to hold it because this is like the hand guard. So it can either be a gun like this, which I guess it's a gun. It's more like he's holding a tube and saying it's a gun. But then you can pop it up like this and you get a sword. And I like how it can do two things. I'm not a fan of the gun mode, but I like that it's there. And for opposability, this guy, the arms go around 360 like this. And for the most part, I like this guy. I understand why some people don't like his look. It is a somewhat simplistic look. But I don't mind it so much. It's kind of necessary for how he combines, and I love the way he combines. It's the most interesting 5-unit combiner we've gotten since Daiboken, and that was 8 years ago. So I'm very pleased with this. It's something, a breath of fresh air for me, and so I'm willing to accept some slight plainness. I would have liked if they had taken some black paint in here to make this look interesting, because it does look a bit too plain for my taste, but it's not bad. I certainly understand why some people won't like this aesthetic, but I'm okay with it. I like it quite a bit. It's very clever. Now, I did mention that there are several problems that could have been easily avoided with this figure that just drive me up the walls. Here's the other problem that could have been fixed so easily. Okay, so I'm trying to pick up this figure, okay? I can pick him up by the arm, but the arm might come off. No, probably not the safest option. I can pick him up by the leg, but then that happens. Probably not the safest option. None of this is a big deal so far. Figures usually have a place where it's most comfortable to hold them. It's not a requirement to be able to hold them by any place. Now we're starting to get into a problem here where I can hold this by here, but that might put undue pressure on the clips in here, and I don't want to do that. So you can hold them by this. I don't necessarily recommend it. They came up with a pretty good solution, not a perfect solution. I don't know what I would have done better. Now, that basically means you can hold them by here or somewhere up here. Because of how the arm goes out, it's more comfortable to hold them up here. But the problem is if you accidentally press this button while you're picking up, watch what happens. He comes apart. And that is actually kind of scary because if, say, you're holding the guy like this while you're carrying him around, and you accidentally press the button, he will self-destruct on you, clatter on the floor, and boom! Your figure might not break, but the nice finish on this plastic or on the paint here, you're gonna scuff the plastic or chip the paint. So that is kind of upsetting, and the way they could have fixed that is if they had turned this slider joint here upside down, and so that if you are holding him, then you press the button, it wouldn't fall out of the joint, it would just be resting in this cradle right here. And I feel like they could have that could have been such an easy thing for them to do, and I don't know why they didn't do it, except that they didn't think about it, and that's why it's infuriating to me. Now, granted, that's not going to be a problem for every figure. It's more of a quality control thing, because if I do the same thing to this side, he holds together pretty well. The clips that actually, not clips, but the runners that keep them together are going to have some variances to them, so some of them might have no problem whatsoever. Some of them might have the blue side be the weak side and the green side the strong side, or they might have it where both are awful. And all of those are entirely possible situations for this. So there is a quality control aspect to this problem. It may not affect everyone, but it does affect mine, and it does piss me off. And they could have done something to make it more effective. None of them where gravity could not cause a guy to fall apart if he accidentally hit his suicide button. So this figure is a great figure. I like it quite a bit. But it just has problems with it that could have been fixed so easily if they just thought about it for a little bit longer before they sent it off to get the molds made. So I like it. I recommend it. It's not as good as it could be. That's basically my point. Anyway, I review Transformers, Power Rangers, Macross figures, Digimon, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. In the video description down below, we have a Facebook link and some playlists. Check those out. And thank you for watching.